I'm Rasheed Ogunlaru, coach, speaker and author, and a very, very warm welcome to the May issue of Catch the Coach, your video newsletter for success and fulfillment. Today, rather this month's issue, is all about impact and influence, because whether it is you're wanting to move up the career ladder, whether it is that you're running your own business, whether it is you're just wanting to be more happy and content socially, in relationships with family, these things are really, really important, so we're going to be majoring on that. But first of all, a few very quick bits of news. First of all, those of you who are running your own business and you're at a growing stage, check out the British Library's Innovating for Growth programme. That offers for you up to £100,000 worth of support and resources for free. You get access to a business support manager who will help you. You will have a couple of sessions on strategy, marketing, branding, intellectual property, all sorts of things, as well as other support to help you research and so on, to help you grow your own business. If you are turning over more than £100,000, you may well be entitled for this programme. So visit the British Library's website, BL, as in British Library /BIPC, and you'll see the details for Innovating for Growth. So that's that. In other news, huge congratulations to the 7 staff at West London Mental Health Trust who have gained promotions as part of the BME leadership programme that we've been running there. I want to say huge congratulations there. Meanwhile, at Barts NHS Trust, I want to say continuing congratulations to all the cohorts who've been coming through. We've just started the 2016 cohorts for a number of staff who are women and people of Black, Asian and minority ethnic backgrounds to help people flourish in their careers. So that's been absolutely fantastic programme, which is getting a lot of recognition within the trust and outside of the trust as well. So I just want to say hugely well done there. Also, a final piece of news, I want to say thank you to the team at Interchange People Development. And we've been running some fantastic courses there for Lambeth College's leadership team, and also for Unison, the public sector union, where we've been running some presentation skills courses. That's been absolutely fantastic. So that's our news. We're going to be coming back to this thing about impact very, very soon, but what I want to do is talk about a couple of events now that are going to be useful for you wherever it is in your life, in your career. First thing I want to mention to you is Networking for Success. Now, as you know this, and as you should know, this is the monthly event that I run for you if you're wanting to progress in your career, or if you're wanting to move ahead in business. This workshop helps you to network authentically, strategically, and effectively so that you can build relationships and you can progress at work, personally, socially, and in business. It's absolutely key nowadays in order for us to be able to progress. So that's Networking for Success. The next date of that is the 18th of May from 4 p.m. till 7:30 p.m. So I know lots of you say to me, Rasheed, look, I work during the day. Do you run other events? That time at 4 p.m. means that you could just leave a little bit earlier and come along to that day. But if daytime events are tricky for you, remember I run a webinar once every month, and I'm running Soul Trader Your Life, Your Business, a special webinar to introduce the new Soul Trader Your Life, Your Business event at the British Library. That is going on the 10th of May, 7:30 p.m. online on soultrader.biz. Again, all of these events, you can follow the link below this video to see all of those events, but that's really worth tuning into. So don't forget, Networking for Success, British Library, and also we're running our free webinar on soultrader.biz on the 10th of May at 7:30 p.m. Finally, speaking of Soul Trader, those of you who are thinking about starting out or growing your business, the return of Soul Trader Your Life, Your Business, this very powerful 7-step workshop to help you gain clarity, customers, courage, cooperation, creativity, to boost creativity, compassion, and to help you manage change. That returns to the British Library. We're going to be running it quarterly starting on the 18th of May, that magical date. 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the British Library. It's going to be run. If you can't make that date, we're running it again in September on the 23rd, and then again in December. But again, all the dates you can see below here, but it's really well worth coming along to, in terms of those of you, the many of you who are thinking about, or you're already on that business of being your own boss, and how do you do that in a way that really resonates with you? This is all about taking the pain and the heartache out of being your own boss and making it far more fulfilling all round. All the events you can see there are on the events page of my website. Right, to our featured segment here around influence and impact. I'm just going to break this down into 5 key tips for you. Remember, it might be that you're wanting to impact in the workplace, at home, in business. The first thing is clarity and strategy. You need to be clear who you are and what it is that you're trying to achieve, whether it is that you're an organization, whether it is that you're an individual, whether it is in your career path, whether it is personally. What is it you're trying to achieve? And do you have a plan? Do you have a strategy? You might have a list of the things that you're wanting in terms of the supermarket. Do you have a list for the things that you're wanting to achieve in terms of your life and in terms of your career? You need that. You need to be absolutely clear what's really important to you. Clarity and strategy is number 1. Number 2, visibility, credibility, and authority. Now, these 3 things are like interlocking circles. Visibility. Are you visible? Are you visible at work? Do people know who it is that you are? Do you speak up in the team meeting? Do you attend the conferences and events? Do you have a visibility? Do you have a website? Are you visible in terms of a business? Do you go out and meet people? Do you go to events where the speakers? Do people in your field know who it is that you are? Visibility is really incredibly important for you to be able to influence. When you go to events, do you sit at the back where no one can see you, or do you come to the front where you might be more visible? Sometimes sitting at the back might be a strategic decision, but very often it's because we're hiding away. But also this visibility is also about this vocal thing. Are you actually speaking up? Do people know who it is you are? Are you actually contributing? So that's that first bit, visibility, which leads us nicely onto credibility. It's all very well you being visible, but it's that you're credible. Do you have the skills? Do you have the talent? Do you show up on time? Do you put in the work? Do you put in the effort? You need to be credible. Do you have that track record? And the last element of this is authority, linked of course to credibility, but authority. That has a lot of things to do with lots of things. Okay, it is about your CV and what you've done, or it might be linked to your post or whatever, but some of that, whatever your post, whatever it is, your status, comes through how it is that you are. So you need to show up with presence. You need to be authentically yourself. So how you come across visually, physically, do you shy away, all of those things are also part of your authority, but it's also about the story that you tell people. One of the very first things I do when I meet people, for example, in business, is I go to their website and I go to the About Me page. Are you visible or are you absent without leave? Again, when you're going to a job interview or whatever, or for a talk, are you telling people what it is that you do, what it is that you've achieved, what it is that you accomplished? Many people don't tell that story effectively. Again, if you want more tips and support around these things, the events that I've mentioned will be very useful in terms of that. So we've talked about this thing about clarity and strategy is number 1. Then we've talked about this number 2 element, which is about this visibility, credibility, and authority. The next point that I want to talk to you here about in terms of these tips and in terms of impact and influence is desires and drivers. So it's all very well you being clear and you being visible, but you're not going to be able to influence people unless you know what your desires and what your drivers are and what other people's desires and their drivers are. So you need to find out what is it that moves, what's really important to your boss, what is it that's important to the CEO, what's important to your customers. You need to know what their desires and their fears are in order to be able to see what it is that you're doing and how it is that meets and addresses and allays those fears or helps them achieve the things that they're desiring to achieve. That's really, really important in terms of influencing people. Our 4th tip here is around the actual bit about communication. So again, you might be clear, you might be visible, you might know what people's desires and so on are, but it all falls down when you open your mouth or when you put pen to paper or when you send that email. So when you're communicating, it needs to be clear, it needs to be very crisp, and it needs to be compelling. And it's best if it's cooperative and it's customer focused, focused on the person who it is that you're wanting to communicate with. So clear, crisp, probably best most often if it's concise. It's got to be compelling, relevant to them, customer focused, cooperatively. It should be about that win-win. Finally, the 5th tip here in terms of impact and influence is all about authenticity and alignment. These things fall down if you're not yourself. So the tip here is just to be yourself. Be yourself. Be authentic to yourself. And people will see that. It's one of the most powerful things that you can have. It's one of the things that people think, and they think, actually, I just like that person. It's the bit that also links to the thing that you almost can't put your finger on it. But it's that element that is very, very powerful. It's one of the reasons why lots of people say they have all sorts of issues with our political leaders and all sorts of other people, because they feel often that they're not authentic. That leads us beautifully on to our quote for the month, which is, if you're not yourself, people can see right through you and see a pale imitation of someone else. if you're not yourself, people can look right through you and they can see a pale imitation of someone else. So it's really important just to be yourself, be true to you. I think it's 400th anniversary of Shakespeare's death, isn't it? That quote, to thine own self be true. There's another one. 2 quotes for the price of 1 this month. Tip for the month, again, along this line of what we've been talking about, which is in terms of influence. I'm going to invite you to take a blank piece of paper and draw an influence map. Who are the people it is that you're wanting to influence in the workplace, socially, in your industry, key players, what have you? Map that out. Who are they? What are their desires? What are their fears? What's the objective? What is it you're trying to achieve with each particular person? What are the actions you need to take? Can work very well for those of you who are in management roles and need to influence people. Or if you're on the career ladder and you're just wanting to become far more influential, or of course in terms of your business, you should have that kind of map. There's lots on that. If you want more tips on that in the Soul Trader book, the whole chapter around cooperation is based on that, and they've got tips in terms of how to do that. And again, our Networking for Success workshop or the Soul Trader workshop will help you. So it's well worth coming along to if you're on that influence on impact road. That's pretty much it for this issue. I want to say many thanks for you for tuning in. I just want to say, do stay in touch. There's all sorts of ways of staying in touch with me. Here you can see them here. There is, of course, Twitter. You can follow me, www.twitter.com/Rasheed Ogunlaru, or just type in @Rasheed Ogunlaru. If you're on Facebook, again, if you use a well-known search engine and you just type in Rasheed Ogunlaru Facebook page, you'll find my official page. I post all sorts of stuff and tips there. Those of you who are really into your social media and you're very, very trendy and you're on Instagram, you'll find me there on Instagram. Again, I'm Rasheed Ogunlaru. Those of you who are running your own business, you may have discovered already www.soul-trader.biz, which is my website, my resource for you if you're starting growing your own business. There's also the podcast, and that's where we host our monthly webinars as well. So there's all sorts of ways in which you can stay in touch. And of course, there's the website, rosario.com itself, and I post blogs from time to time. So all sorts of ways of staying in touch. All the best. Take care. Have a wonderful month.